7 minutes after the hour of 8 a.m. Mountain Time. It's Saturday. It's May 6th. It's 2023. It is Derby weekend. The king of some place is getting crowned today. No one knows where that is for sure. I don't know. It's been all over TV. So I tried to stay awake for it for the hour before the show, but I kept dozing off, Shane. It was so boring.
Yeah. Well, I found that it was fascinating, and
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm a Canadian. He's our head of state,
Yeah.
and basically in charge of our military, and don't have a problem with that. My goodness gracious, it's a lot cheaper than what you have to
Well, that's for
have
sure.
for your head of state. I mean,
Yeah, England pays for it.
yeah, England pays for it. No, it's a pretty remarkable thing. It's a 4-day event, basically. It's a 5-hour coronation, an hour to get to the church, a little over an hour, to come back from the church, and an hour and a half to go in and change, and then come out in the balcony and wave to everybody.
Yeah.
And about 12 million people in the city that were enjoying it, and the 28 nation Commonwealth makes up for 2.5 billion people.
Yeah.
So there's going to be they're going to have pretty high ratings. I think they get the highest rating. It'll be the highest rated thing of all time. It was pretty well done.
Yeah. You mean highest rated on TV?
Oh, TV, internet, the whole
You think
thing,
it'll
man.
beat the last Seinfeld?
Oh, by billions.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. Well, yeah, it's quite a deal, I guess. If you like that sort of thing. But let me
Well,
ask
look,
let me ask you
the
something.
numbers are amazing.
Yeah.
70 years ago, since the last coronation, exactly. His mother was 53. Now it's 23.
Yeah.
He's the 40th monarch. He's the third Charles. The first two Charles didn't fare well.
Yeah.
The first Charles was he signed a deal with the Scots because he was losing his civil war, and found out, and they cut his head off. And then Charles II, his son, tried to fight a civil war down and off, and died at 54 of he had what do you call it, a battle with oh my gosh, Tom, help me. Where you have epilepsy. Yeah, he had epilepsy, and he died of epilepsy. So now he's Charles III. And of course, William, his son, William the Conqueror, had he was crowned first in 1066 in the church they were in today. And so, I mean, the numbers are really, it's 1,000 years of the same family. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to ask you: are people saving money with Queen Elizabeth on it as souvenirs for the future?
Of course, they have. People have them for souvenirs of everything, all the weddings, her coronation, her father's.
Is all that on the money?
Beg your pardon?
Is all that on the money?
I don't know what you mean on the money.
I'm asking about the money. Are they saving the money with her picture on it for future generations?
No. They've already, 4 days ago, the Buckingham Palace released a new coinage with his picture on it. And Canada announced our new coinage with his picture on it. And he'll be going on our money. Same as in Australia and New Zealand. Another, like French Guiana and French Tonga joined the Commonwealth because it's one of the largest trading. It actually is by population the largest trading bloc in the world. Something we've talked about, but we don't very often remember to include it in what's going to happen in 50 years, because in 50 years it'll be the largest trading group in the world.
Okay, I'm going to ask this for the third time.
Go.
Are people saving the money with Queen Elizabeth's picture on it for their prosperity? Are they putting it away as a collectible?
Yes, they do.
Okay. And for the benefit of people in America who don't know, Canada has plastic money. They don't have paper money. It's plastic.
Oil money. It's not plastic. It's oil money.
Well, yeah.
Oil.
So, right.
Yeah, it's made out of petrochemical plastic, indestructible, and extends the life of the currency by at least 10 years, which saves the mint about,
Yeah.
it costs about half as much for the mint. And we got rid of the penny.
Oh, well, good for you. So, well, moving on, Shane.
Okay,
It's
now we can move on. It's your turn.
It's National Nurses Day. It's National Explosive Ordnance Disposal Day. It's National Tourist Appreciation Day, Shane. So you should appreciate all the tourists up there in Kamloops. It's Join Hands Day, believe it or not. It's also Free Comic Book Day, and I'm down with this one, Shane. It's International No Diet Day. Today you can pig out, put your diet on hold, and enjoy donuts and all the stuff
Cookies.
that's really bad for you.
Pizza.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, well, it's also
soft drinks.
Yeah. May is also Military Month, Military Appreciation Month, I should say. So if you got somebody in the military out there, appreciate them a little
and
bit.
May is selling May and go away in the market.
Yep. Sell and May, go away. And it's also Derby Day. Kentucky Derby's running today. So we have 4 dead horses at Churchill Downs, Shane. What the hell's going on there?
I don't know. They saw someone coming.
Apparently, yeah. So I don't know. They've got...
I don't know. They don't really know if it's purposeful, but there's a couple of trainers that aren't being allowed to run their horses.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, 4 horses died in 5 days at Churchill Downs in Louisville ahead of the Derby. Churchill Downs will work with regulators to conduct an investigation following the deaths of the animals. Derby entry Wild on Ice suffered a fatal hind leg injury, and 2 horses died Tuesday after collapsing as part of the same race card. So the horse with the fatal hind leg injury they put down. The other 2, I don't know, maybe they burst their hearts, Shane. They do run until that happens.
I think that's where Churchill Downs generated that old-fashioned comment, died of a broken heart.
Yeah, well, that could very well be available, So I've been to Churchill Downs, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you have to tell us because, my gosh, you haven't been to a lot of places you can tell us about.
Well, that's true. Well, I spoke in Louisville, Kentucky, to economic group, and a guy I went to college with was there. So we went out to look at Churchill Downs and check all the places in Louisville.
Quite a place, isn't it?
It is quite a place, yeah.
Their stalls are cleaner than my bathroom.
Well, that's I didn't. Okay. We've got to take a phone call on that one. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you're on with the award-winning Tom and Shane. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, Tom and Shane in Montana. I once had a horse named Young Hero, and I bought him from Bob Miller, who was one of the fearsome foursome of the Detroit Lions.
Wow.
I got Young Hero right off of the Detroit racetrack up there in the Motor City, and his jockey papers said that he was eligible to run the Preakness race, and I got him when he was about a 3-year-old, and he was about almost 17 hands high, and he weighed 1,165 pounds, and he was a dappled gray with black points. He was a horse of my dreams, and but they're pushing the race horses too soon. They're breaking them too soon, and they're getting a lot of health problems. And I'm going to tell you right now, on that Detroit racetrack, I know that a lot of the owners of the race horses say that fix them up for the race. That means that they dope them up. And
yeah, they dope them up somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a federal crime. But I want to say that I've talked with Tom. I have an announcement to make.
You do have an announcement to make today.
Yeah, and I also have a comment on illegal aliens in Montana. But, Tom, I'm going to have to tell you that I don't know what district. I was going to tell everybody that I'm going to make a run for the House in 2024, and I'm really incapable of doing that for the simple reason that I don't know what district I am in. It used to be District 40, and because of the Democrats, these progressive wokes that have been moving in here from California and Washington State, they've redone our districts, and I can't figure out what district I'm living in. I know that my district has grown about double or maybe even triple in size. It extends all the way to Harleton, all the way to Hardin now, and possibly even Forsyth. And there's other people in town that have been trying to get a map to show the boundaries of our district. It used to be District 40. And so until we get that map, I don't think it's fair to say that I'm going to run for the House in District so-and-so because I don't know exactly what our boundaries are. So I just want to make that clear now. We've got plenty of time. I don't have to register until January of 2024. So I just want to say that right now. I would really love to run for the House, but I don't know what district I'm even going to run in. So in all fairness to everybody who lives in this area who is a voter and also a resident, I think that's really the proper thing to do. And I really do. Don't you think that's right, Tom?
Absolutely. Yes, of course.
Okay. We have been trying to get the map from our Secretary of State, and she has resisted. And I don't know why. There's other people that have asked for a map of the new district, and she just will not cooperate. I don't know what's behind it. But my comment today is on illegal immigration in Montana. It's getting worse. I want to say that New York City, the mayor there has been sneaking busloads of illegals here as well as Canada. He's actually taken 35,000 illegals and shoved them back into Canada. Montreal is really starting to get upset over it because, you know, they're all French. At one time they wanted to accede from Canada. But one of the things here is that we have a big refinery job coming up in Laurel, Montana, and the sheriff has been telling people that they're getting 5,000 people imported for these wonderful high-paying refinery jobs, and the majority of them are going to be from South and Central America, and that the city of Laurel, Montana is bracing for this invasion. So I'm not happy about this, and I think all you Montanans need to voice your opinion. These are some of the best-paying jobs in our state, and they are being given to people that have invaded our country and broke our immigration laws, and I'm really pissed off over this because it's just simply not right. We have got people homeless that are living in tents and motor homes and campers, and they're making housing for illegal aliens and give them the best paying jobs. So I'm not happy about it. And other than that, I just want to say God bless to everyone. And there's always sunshine over the horizon. And hopefully we can turn things around here in our state. And God bless. And Tom and Shane, thank you so much for wanting to back me on a very, very political ambition, you know, running for the House. I mean, I don't take that lightly. And so I just want to apologize. I just can't say that I can run because I just don't know what our district is.
All right. Well, plenty of time to figure it out, Nancy. We appreciate you announcing it here. A lot of listeners have voiced their opinion that you would be favorably representing us in the House, so we wish you the best. Well,
I'm very, very honored, and that just makes me very proud as an American. Thank you all.
All right, thanks for the call, Nancy. Appreciate it. Yeah, Nancy going to run, Shane.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You didn't ask her if she's a Republican or Democrat.
Do I have to? She's calling us.
Well, she could be an independent.
She could be an independent. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. For our text line.
So we know we'll put her in the independent column.
Okay, so for our text line, 406-478-8298. We fought a war to kick their royal ass to the curb, Shane. There you go.
You're talking about the British.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was very successful. I mean, it was the biggest military in the world for 200 years. So,
yeah. Let's see. Looking for my 6-month-old Aussie. Blue eyes. Name is Huck. Breeder not respecting the contractual dates. If anyone knows about him, please text me. Okay. I guess we will.
Well, there you go.
All right.
Public service announcement.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh my God. Can you imagine Nancy as a representative? Lord help us. Well, you got Zoe Zephyr. I think Nancy would do an excellent job. Thank you very much. And speaking of politics, coming up the 10 o'clock hour, Scott Sales and Steve White will join us. The session has officially closed in Helena, and we're going to talk about Zoe and the various laws and gender deals that came up. Holy smokes, Jay, there's so much gender crap going on in all these houses across the country. I don't know, man. It's out of control. I don't know. How do illegals get legal paying jobs when they don't have a Social Security number? Well, a Social Security number is pretty easy to get from these folks. So if we jailed employers who hire illegals and create a job magnet, we could solve the problem easily. That's right. We absolutely can. The problem is the government is really good about making laws, but they suck at enforcing them. They don't have anybody. They don't have the bodies to go out and go to all these places and check everybody's stuff. So there you go.
Well, Nancy could be right because they are letting a lot of Venezuelans into your country, and Venezuela has the largest known reserves now left in the world. Mm-hmm. So they have the people that could work in your country in that industry, and so does Mexico. You know, the National Mexican Oil Company has been poorly run and could probably produce more, probably 50% more than it is. But so I don't know if they'd get hired, but they do have some training.
Well, there's certainly a lot of Hispanics here. I was at Winco a week ago, I think, and man, I saw more Hispanics than I saw in Tijuana when I lived in San Diego. So
well, that's right. That's why your labor rate, it keeps dropping because they're all coming in and taking jobs no one else will, and 2 or 3 of them if they can.
Yeah. So,
but they don't want to put it that way when they come out with these supposed great numbers, which is a contradiction in terms because your Fed chairman of the Federal Reserve, who raised rates again, as you know, 0.25%.
Yeah.
You're now at 5.25. I still say you're going to end up at 8 probably later by fall. I thought it would be May or June. I think he'll raise it again in the June meeting. Everyone's saying no, he'll stop, but no, he won't. But he keeps telling everyone he's got to see, unemployment go up to know that he's doing something to cause inflation to go down. And so then they brag about having employed more people, which causes more inflation.
Well, that would be true. So there we go. It's a never-ending cycle with these guys.
It's gotta go by the numbers, buddy.
Let's take another phone call. 406-522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Caller on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
First of all, we do have the people to enforce the laws. When we pull them over, we're not allowed to do anything about it.
Well, that's true.
Do anything about it, and they send it, then they just release them anyway. But if you really want to stop it, if you want to actually stop it, make it freaking illegal or tax the piss out of the money they send home. They come here, they take the jobs that self-respecting people who need to pay their freaking bills can't take because they don't pay enough wages, but they take it because they live 17 people in a house and then send the money back home where it's worth freaking 10 times what it is here. The situation is so blatantly obvious that the cures and the solutions are just as obvious. We just don't freaking do it. Have a good day, guys.
All right. Thank you.
And he's absolutely right. That was one of 3 legs to Trump's border resolution. One was he called all these countries and he said, look, if you don't stop sending people and you don't stop them in your own country,
no money.
And signed it. No, well, not just no money will I send you, which he stopped, but he also threatened them with the Treasury Department ceasing the transfer of money from the U.S. to Mexico and all the other Central American countries, because Mexico, for example, 1/3 of their GSP or GPS is money sent by people working in your country. Send it home, and then that generates 1/3 of the GPS in Mexico. That's a lot of money.
Well, I think you mean the GDP, but that's okay.
GDP. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, the caller's
I've been up all night.
Yeah, the caller's correct. When I lived in San Diego, multiple people lived in a house. I mean, that was just, they came across the border, knew somebody, and they would move into, they have 10, 20 people living in a home, and they'd all go out. And the caller's exactly right. They combine their income, send half of it home. And he's right that the peso to the dollar is worth more in Mexico. So or Honduras or El Salvador or wherever they're from.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. And employers, there are unscrupulous employers, I believe, that hire people under the table, pay them cash, no Social Security, no taxes collected. And they get and the people are happy to do that. And they're not going to go to the cops and blow the whistle. And the customers, they don't know, if the person's hired legally or not. What do they know? So anyway, that's
Costa Rica. 1/3 of the people, 1/3 of the population of Costa Rica lives in the U.S. And in the 1950s, all your intelligence services made it the retirement country for the black ops. So they don't even have a standing army, and they have no problems, and they have no revolutions, and they have no drugs. But you look at these countries individually, and the benefits that they've gotten over the last 70 years is pretty cool. Baby.
Yeah, you can't beat it. Okay, and 20 seconds to spare, Shane. Thanks for ending there. So
that's right. Yeah, I'm watching.
We got a lot to talk about. So we'll be back with more right after the news. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. 27 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Saturday. It's May 6th. It's 2023. It's Derby Day, and it's also what day is it? It's the King. King somebody's being coronated in wherever it is. So let's see. We've got
Jerry the Great One.
We got a caller on the line, Shane, I believe.
Jerry the Great One.
All right, Jerry, what's happening? Tom. What's happening this morning, man? What are you doing?
Well, I was just commenting to Shane that whoever this texter was that it wasn't happy that Nancy was going to run. Well, why don't these people call in?
Yeah.
What a gutless individual. My goodness gracious. That's terrible.
Well, we have a text line. We shouldn't call it the text line. We should call it the woke line.
Yeah, that's a shame. It really is.
There you go.
Hey, Tom, you mentioned something in the opening that it's Explosive Ordnance Disposal Day?
Yeah, it's National Explosive Ordnance Disposal Day, EOD, for those of you who are, language challenged.
Wow. Well, now I'm worried.
Yeah.
Now I'm worried. I mean, good grief. Holy smokes, who's got explosive ordnance they want to dispose of? My goodness gracious.
Antifa, Proud Boys.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to get rid of it. They're going to hide it.
Well, I guess you're true. I guess that's right.
Oh, my stars. I'd just like to, here's a quick comment. When this latest whistleblower released some information to the committee, you heard about this a couple of days ago or whatever. The Democrats said there's no evidence in this latest whistleblower's release.
Yeah.
Well, no kidding, fellas. You're holding on to it. No wonder there's no evidence. You won't release it to the committee. I mean, these Democrats are just unbelievable. They get away with murder, Tom.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Jerry, I have a hard time believing that the IRS, or I'm sorry, not the IRS, the FBI, has documents that prove Clinton is guilty of something, and Oh yeah, we'll keep that one. Yeah, no problem. Maybe the shredder's not working at the moment. Yeah, we'll just hang on to that. In case he wants to cut our funding or something. I guess we'll use it then.
It's incredible, but and Congress should be really, how should I say, more forceful to get whatever it is that these people have as far as evidence, because this whistleblower apparently was able to see this particular document that they're referring to. And Tom, did you hear that the vice president of this United States of America met with 4 companies that are trying to push AI?
Yes.
Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah.
And so
and who did they put in charge of AI? Kamala.
Yeah, artificial. There's artificial intelligence, if you ask me. Okay.
There's no intelligence. I don't think.
Well,
no, it's artificial. All you have to do is listen to the laugh.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, I didn't want to be all that critical of the poor woman, but
I know.
Good grief.
Yeah.
So the president popped in, he said, for a little bit of a meeting to see what was going on. But they're committing $140 million to these 4 companies to see how it's going to work within the federal government. And that's got me a little bit worried. I don't know about you.
Well, I don't know. I would be interesting to see what kind of bills AI writes compared to the ones we're getting now. It might be an improvement. Who knows?
No, because this is artificial intelligence, Tom.
That's true.
It's not going to be for the good of the citizens of this country, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And
I'm afraid Jerry, I'm afraid you're too late because it's out of the box.
Yeah,
literally.
It is. Yeah.
And it's in the military, it's in your intelligence agencies, and they're using it to try and break, the codes and everything in Russia, China, and Iran, and anywhere else. It's already in the game, buddy. This is
the last generation that you're going to see original artwork, original music, original books, and it's over. The creativity is done.
Replace the airline pilot and the naval pilot or the military pilot, and it's also going to replace black ops. They're not going to have all these contractors are paying massive amount of money to.
So basically we're going to be talked to by Max Headroom.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, gotcha.
That's right.
All right.
You got it, man.
One last comment. Did you know $1 billion is going to be set aside for electric buses?
Why not?
I know.
Yeah.
Kamala loves electric buses. She loves those buses.
Yeah, she wants them all painted yellow.
Yeah.
Well, they're $400,000 a piece. Not to mention, you're going to have to build a charging station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, come on. Diesel buses were 100,000 last year. They're 140 now.
Well, they used to have those trolleys that were electric. They had the things on top of the thing that ran down the wires and whatever.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I was raised in Philadelphia. We had a lot of what was called trackless trolleys, and of course the normal trolleys that ran on rails.
Right.
Those things were extremely efficient, and all our commuter rails were also, that went out from the city of Philadelphia to the suburbs. They were electric.
Yeah.
It was all electric, and not to mention.
Well, yeah, and the reason they were called trolleys is they worked on gravity. They would pull them up a hill or any slight angle, and then they would go back down the hill without any power. They didn't have engines; they just had brakes.
Well, you're talking cable cars. These trolleys are different. The trolleys had electric motors. The cable cars, of course, were pulled on cables from between the tracks.
What I'm saying is the electric trolleys, though, is all they did was pull or back up the hill, and then it wouldn't use any, power going down the hill. That's all I'm saying. It just was very inexpensive, very efficient.
Yeah, there's not too many hills in Philadelphia. It's quite flat, as a matter of fact. But needless to say, we've been on this gig for quite some time. I don't know why they want
years.
Yeah, it's just amazing to me. But anyway, guys, you know how it goes. We're living in an upside down country right now, and until we get until 2024, and people realize that the gentleman who's in the White House right now isn't doing us any favors. You know what I mean? He's not doing us right.
Well, it's all Budweiser's fault, Jerry, because they turned the beer cap upside down and made it the king of beers. Okay, so everybody thinks they're a king now that drinks it.
Yeah.
Oh well, okay. I'm not a king. I'm just a measly old serf.
There you go.
All right, guys.
Surf's up.
Taking my call.
All right. See you later.
Did you ever surf in the Pacific there, Thomas?
Not at all. Not even close.
You only waded into the water. You told me that the other day.
Well, yeah, because the Pacific water is way too cold. You can't get it.
Is.
Well, it comes down from Alaska, where the other side comes up from the Gulf. So yeah. So the Pacific, I would get out there and maybe do a couple strokes and then take a rest. So yeah. Oh man.
Well, I don't know what's worse, being in a monsoon under a a poncho. You hold up with your rifle to keep it dry, or being out in the ocean. But I guess rainwater was warmer.
I guess so. Well, I don't know. Coming up at the 10 o'clock hour, Steve White and Scott Sales will be here. The Montana legislature has adjourned, and they are going to give us a recap of what went on up there, including the Zoe Zephyr story and many of the laws that were passed or vetoed or whatever. But before we get to that, new pricing for federally guaranteed mortgages has sparked criticisms in recent weeks, prompting claims that borrowers with higher credit scores will subsidize those with lower credit scores through higher fees. What do you think, Shane? Should the rich should take care of the poor, right?
Well, they do now, but rather than another Fannie Mae fiasco of 2008 and mortgage-backed securities, they're trying to come up with a new scheme for financial regulation that we already know what happens with these things. Back in '82, you had 14,000 banks, and after the savings loan debacle in the '80s, you dropped to 8, and between the '90s and up till the middle of 2010. You dropped to 15, now down to about 9,000. So, it's a dying industry.
From our text line, 478-8298, Shane says the labor rate keeps dropping. Pretty soon wages will keep dropping. Supply and demand. Well,
That's not what I said.
Yeah, I know. But if the low employment, doesn't that mean people start paying a premium for employees?
Correct.
Yeah. Jerry's voice reminds me of Alan Alda on MASH.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah, sounds a little bit like Alan Alda. Yeah, we'll have to.
And he's got his sense of humor.
Yeah, well, we'll have to have him say hot lips next time he calls.
And ask him if he's drinking a martini.
Yeah. Republicans don't want Hunter Biden investigation to end. They want to keep accusing him and his father of stuff. At the investigation ends, we'll learn that Joe had nothing to do with Hunter. Well, we'll find out, I guess. So.
Well, in both cases, we want them to be held accountable. That's
if they did the deed, let's fess up. Yeah.
Isn't that the wokest thing? If you've done something wrong, we're gonna prove it.
Well, there we go. So. All right, let's see. What else we got here? How we should keep diesel buses and be dependent on ExxonMobil. They would never gouge us. Oh, you don't think electric companies will gouge you? Where have you been? Well, ever hear of Edison?
Here's one that you're going to love, and all of our listeners will. Every urban city in your country that has bus service, or have built a bus service for their people, when they replace the buses, they load them up on ships, large ships, container ships and send them off to countries, particularly in the Pacific, and sell them, so they get their money back. So it's not like they send them through a machine and get rid of them because they're carbon choking, green green visions of nightmares causing the end of the planet. Nope, they send them off to third world countries or developing countries for them to run them in their countries and create all that CO2.
Well, I don't know.
I do. It's crazy. It's
Well,
it's
it
a
is.
contradiction. It's a contradiction.
Yeah, it is. There's no question about that. So, but yeah, I'm wondering about these. Can we really pass this thing where the people that can't afford houses subsidize those that can't?
No, they haven't done it yet. They're wanting to do it.
It was supposed to go into effect May 1st, I think.
Well, it may still go into May. It may go in force, but certainly on a limited basis. It's I don't know. It's one of these things you look at, and it's just it's the effort for the suburbs to be infiltrated by minorities, so that the last urban vestige of white majority, which are the suburbs, is overthrown, and the woke people turn them purple. That's what they want to turn the suburbs purple.
Yeah. Well, on a conventional 30-year loan of $400,000, the upfront fees could add up to $42 per month for borrowers with a credit score above 780. That's from Freddie Mac. $42 certainly doesn't sound like much if you can afford a $400,000 house. It's not the amount of money; it's the principle of this that it's the unfairness that you're penalizing people who work and aspire to improve their station in life, and they're penalized for doing that.
And they're living a managed lifestyle and balancing their books and trying to create disposable income to enhance your economy. And the government does, it seems, everything they can of the middle class, to one up them. And I'm talking about a finger, okay? I'm not talking about one up them to their benefit.
Yeah. Well, is it higher credit borrowers may not get as high a break as before? Oh my, that's fair. While the hit on riskier borrowers with lower credit and lower down payments could be smaller. So, I don't know.
You've done the same thing. You did this under the Reagan administration. You did it under the Clinton administration. You did it under the Bush administration. You did it under the Obama, and all of them they all caused recessions, and two of them caused almost a collapse. So
yeah,
this one's worked really well. Let's do it a fifth time. Maybe 1 out of 5 times it might work.
Yeah. Our record low unemployment raises wages. I can't get people to apply for $25 an hour, and that's right. I believe you're right. Electric companies are highly regulated, unlike Exxon and Conoco, who are making record profits.
That's not true.
Yeah, I know.
That's just not. We know that, and the administration, particularly federal, has done everything they can to regulate the oil industry away. So please don't.
I was going to say, the EPA, you got to jump through 10 million hoops to drill a small well somewhere.
Yeah, and they've made these massive profits for 2 reasons: COVID and regulations. So, COVID's because everything got shut down and then immediately jumped open. And then number 2, regulations, which just causes the price to go up. So they get the benefit, but the cause is more relevant, isn't it?
Okay. Well, I got one here you can take on, Shane, by somebody who, again, we have listeners that hear us, but they don't listen. So Shane just stated that those horrible urban people are infiltrating the suburbs, and it's being done on purpose to diminish the whiteness of suburbs. That is one hell of a racist statement. Thank you, Shane.
Well, by the way, all you have to do is go look at the legislation, the woke and your demolition party, the Democrats, and Obama started with regard to this since 2010. You know, the first 2 years of his presidency, and they actually were successful in a suburb in New York City, forcing the local populations to fund lower cost housing and to put up 20,000 units in their suburb for low income people to be able to move in there. And the whole purpose of it was to turn the voting into one, and to the Democratic side. And this has been talked about. We've talked about it. We've done shows on it. So
oh yeah.
It's not a racist thing, but it's a racist way of doing things.
Yep, Montana, the last best place. The reason why nobody lives here. You're right. So I'm happy. I'm happy nobody lives here.
I think a lot of Hispanics and even African Americans are hesitant to live in what we would call the far north. They don't enjoy the cold very much. When I lived back in the 80s in Toronto, a lot of blacks came to Toronto from the Caribbean because things were so bad down there. It'd be better in Canada, but boy, a lot of them went back after they went through one winter in Toronto. It was not something they got used to very easily.
Okay, to correct our listeners who think oil is not regulated, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, the FERC, is the primary body that regulates oil and gas companies, although the number of other federal offices oversee specific components of the gas and oil industry. So, yes, they are regulated. California will limit the amount of profit oil companies can earn in the state under legislation pushed by Governor Gavin Newsom. And let's see what else we've got here. The oil and gas company is highly regulated at multiple levels of government. This page, the page that I'm referring to, provides an overview of all the things they do. So...
well, we had, I hate to tell you this, but we'll jump into it real quick. So another black swan fell this weekend. I think they're being shot out of the sky now because two more banks were taken over. One entirely by Morgan Stanley. Now they're moving up in size. And this is like 1907 when J.P. Morgan, owning Morgan Banks, got the boys in New York and locked them in a room to save the country, right?
Yeah.
So your banking, the regional and small banks are having real issues, and to be honest with you, the way I look at it, it was a setup by both the major banks and the Federal Reserve, because they clearly, we now know that they're not capable of regulating or the oversight of any number of banks. They just want to maybe have to look at 9. So I see it as an effort to reduce the number of banks in your country, and 4,000 banks is not a lot for the amount of economy that you have across your country, especially for the small business person, the self-employed or private sector jobs, combined, we're talking about 137 million jobs at 161. And they can't just rely on big banks because they're all across your country. They need regional and small banks.
Well, they do. Yeah. Federal Energy Regulation Commission, U.S. Department of Interior, Bureau of Land Management, U.S. Department of Transportation, Pipeline and Hazardous Materials, Safety Administration, and the EPA are the primary agencies responsible for oil and gas regulation. They are not unregulated.
That's right. That's right. And what's that cabinet position about all the property in your country? Geez, I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
You have a congressman in your in your state that went and tried to run it. And, the Interior Department.
Yeah. In charge of everything outside.
Yeah, 60% of your country, the property of your country is owned by the U.S.
There you are. From our text line, 406-478-8298, lived in a camper this winter, free in my town. All right, good for you.
That's good.
Yeah. Thanks for doubling down on the racism. Good job, guys. The best thing about your show is you guys are racist and don't even know it. Well, let me give you a hint. Stop playing the race card because we're immune. All right?
Yeah.
Shane, I was hoping that was the case, that nobody would move here because it's cold, but it's not true. Look at Chicago. That's true.
Hey, listen, we got a problem in Kamloops. Rumor on the street now is the increase we're seeing in homeless are being bussed from Vancouver and sent here.
Yeah.
So this is one of these situations where it's not a good sign. It's just, we can't handle this problem here. You go take care of it.
Yeah, that'll be it. So from our app chat line, AM 1450 KMMS on your smartphone, I'm glad Nancy will be running for a state house position because she would be a tough cookie to run against the U.S. Senate position. So right on John in 2024. So we hope that will happen. So, all right. Good for her. All right, that's going to wrap it up for our first hour. We got 10 Trump policies coming up next, believe it or not. So 10 Trump actions that you didn't know about. And we'll do that right after the break. Stay tuned. A lot more Tom and Shane on the horizon. 7 minutes after the hour of 9 a.m. It is Saturday. It's May 6, 2023. Shane and Tom, half man, half amazing in Kamloops, Canada. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor, in the house this morning. And coming up in the 10 o'clock hour, we're going to have Scott Sales and Steve White will be here to handicap the legislature that just adjourned in Helena recently. And we'll get all the dope on Zoe and all the weird election stuff that happened, I guess, whatever. So we'll see how that goes. So,
well, and it's a wonderful thing because you have a citizen government in your
we
state.
Do, yeah.
They only meet every 2 months or 2 years, like, in Texas and a couple other states. And that's what the original founders wanted because it took so long to travel to Washington. Most people kept the job they had or working in different areas of the economy. But it's a great thing to be able to see that government can act in 3 months to do a budget, go through committee, consider all kinds of legislation. I'm sure you're going to find out they looked at 200 or 300 bills today that they reviewed, and some they put away and some they didn't.
I think there was almost 2,000 that they that came up, something like that.
That came up, but I mean, they whittled it down to 200 or 300 and then made some laws.
No, it's more than that.
Right?
It's more than a few hundred. Yeah.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, there you go. You'll find out.
Yeah.
You should ask them. First
I
question.
will.
How many bills?
I will.
How many laws did they make?
Yeah, how many laws? Well, right now we got 10 actions that happened during the Trump administration that you aren't aware of. So we'll start with immigration in August. And we are in, where are we? We're in, I don't know what month we're in. Too far to go up there to see it. So. In August, the government also said that 42,000 illegal immigrants in federal prisons, nearly all of them had deportation orders or were being investigated for possible deportation. Immigration again, a report in August said that due to reforms and additional hiring of immigration judges, the number of deportation orders increased by nearly 28% compared to the same period in 2016. Immigration again, Department of Homeland Security in August ended the Central American Minors Parole Program that had allowed certain minors from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras to enter the U.S. In trade, more than $2 billion in fines were assessed to China and Canada in August for illegal trade practices. Canada.
Yeah, that had to do with steel.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chinese were dumping in your market through third parties, and the worst one was in Canada. They'd sell their steel to people in Canada, and they turn around and sell it to your manufacturing, and they produced the worst steel in the world. It wasn't up to standards even. And that's how Trump stopped it, right?
Yeah. Argentina trade. The U.S. struck a deal with Argentina to export pork to Argentina that will allow U.S. pork to enter the Argentine market for the first time since 1992, a potential $10 million a year market for American pork producers.
And Trump did that by telling Argentina if they didn't open up their market to pork and beef, American pork and beef, then he would shut down American access to their fish. And boy, that they didn't like that idea.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. China trade. President signed an order in August to investigate Chinese theft of U.S. intellectual property. The IP Commission report estimates that the annual cost of the United States economy from IP theft could be as high as $600 billion, with China as the major contributor. U.S. manufacturing. During Trump's first 6 months, the manufacturing index was the highest it had been since 1983 under Reagan. The National Association of Manufacturers Outlook survey showed the highest two-quarter average of 91.4% for manufacturing optimism in the survey's 20-year history. The Institute for Supply Management reported its June barometer of manufacturing rose to 57.8, the fastest pace in 3 years.
That's right. When Trump left office in 2020, it was 15 million manufacturing jobs in the U.S. that had been it gone up by a million. We tracked this. I looked up our numbers in my diary. Now it's down to 13 million. So you've lost 2 million manufacturing jobs under the President Biden administration. So not a good sign. Numbers are real, buddy.
They are real. In job growth, and how many times have I said this? While the new administration certainly can't take all the credit and the government itself does not create jobs, employers make hiring decisions based on the long-term economic outlook, and the president has done a great deal to do with that. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported 1.3 million new jobs were created during Trump's first 200 days. Meanwhile, Obama in his first 6 months saw a loss of more than 4 million jobs in his first 200 days. The Bureau said 6,000 construction jobs were added in July, for a total of 82,000 since January. In addition, 16,000 manufacturing jobs were added in July, a total of 70,000 since January. The total labor force participation rate increased to 62.9% in July. In June, there were 6 million job openings in the U.S., one of the highest levels ever recorded.
Yeah, but while IT between 84 and 96 created 45 million jobs, it also took away 60% of the jobs or human jobs in the banking system because they went to computers. So that gives you an idea of how AI is going to
how that's going to affect us. Yeah, for sure. Business optimism. In August, the National Federation of Independent Business said its small business optimism index reached 105.3, the highest since 2006, an 11-point jump since the week before Trump was elected. The Wells Fargo Gallup Small Business Index said small business owners are the most optimistic since July of 2007. Bloomberg Consumer Comfort measure reached a 16-year high, with current views of the economy also reaching a 16-year high. The Conference Board Consumer Confidence Index rose in July to nearly 16-year high, with consumers' short-term outlook improving. And last but not least, of course, North Korea. The U.S. implemented its own sanctions in August on 16 Chinese and Russian individuals and entities for conducting business with North Korea. And that's your 10 actions taken during the Trump administration that you weren't aware of?
This week, only this week, folks. Wait till next week.
I say that was in August of 2017. So, all right. The latest on Tucker Carlson, Shane. Fox, the Fox folks, the parent company of Fox News, sent a cease and desist letter to Media Matters for America over its publication of leaked videos showing Tucker Carlson, former host, making crude and offensive comments on the air. So, they had no permission to use that footage. So I think Fox has a leg to stand on there legally.
Unless it's secondhand footage they got off YouTube, then they got a problem. I mean, if it's footage that was already out there on some other, media site.
Well, this is off the air. This is off the air comments.
I appreciate that. I'm just saying he referenced things. Yeah. If they're half.
Yeah, if it's public.
Yeah,
if it's public, it's open season. Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. So anyway, Fox said, we write on behalf of Fox Corporation, clarifying any misunderstanding Media Matters may have had regarding previously unaired footage that Media Matters has published in a series of articles headlined Fox Leaks. That unaired footage is Fox confidential intellectual property. Fox did not consent to its distribution or publication, and Fox does not consent to its further distribution or publication.
They just, they should let a dead dog lie and let it go. It's just bad media for them. I mean, streaming isn't going well for anybody. But you have to look at what happened this week with Paramount Studios. When we warned everybody of this back in November 2021, it was trading around $60 a share. It's down to $5, and it's they've had to cut back their dividend. They don't have with the COVID and the lack of production, and then of course the Writers Guild in Hollywood's on strike. That's quite funny. I was watching Gilfeld or whatever. He said on Monday night, because the strike started last weekend, he said, well, now it's official. We are the #1 late night show on television because there's nobody else on late night television because they don't have any writers.
That's true. When you write your own stuff, I guess you have a deal here. So, let's see. The fact you keep coming up with 10 policies to defend the horrible administration proves how bad he was. They aren't policies. They're things that happened during his administration that you weren't aware of. So I don't know. You probably weren't aware China was fined billions of dollars. You probably weren't aware of pork going to Argentina. You probably weren't aware of half the crap that I put out. So please.
That's right.
Just because you don't like Trump, I don't really care,
That's right. And if it wasn't for Trump and the new trade agreement between Mexico and Canada in particular, Canadians be trading ridiculous numbers prior for eggs, just eggs and cheese. Now he forced Canada to open up, the access for dairy products to Canada, and it's saving Canadians money. Not a lot, but when eggs go from $7 to $4.90, $7 to $4.90 a dozen, big difference.
Yeah. And you probably weren't aware of the increased manufacturing jobs and all the other stuff that happened. So.
Well, yeah. Well, we were paying like $12 for a pound of cheese, and now it's $8. I mean,
there you are.
I mean, it's crazy, right? But people don't want to talk about it, Thomas.
There you are. I just got a text from Scott and Steve. They're not going to make it. They got a family emergency, so they're not going to be here. So
I have to stick around till 10 o'clock.
You're going to have to stick around, yeah.
Oh, come on, that wasn't our deal.
Hang on, I got to turn my phone off because all the texting.
You should put it on mute.
Well, mute doesn't work. You got to turn it off. It alerts me no matter what.
I put it on my phone on mute so I don't get interfered with listening.
I'm telling you, mute doesn't work on the text line.
No, I'm talking about my phone, not yours.
You don't get a text line on your phone.
No, I said I'd mute the phone ringing on it.
I can too. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to try to have Scott and Steve rescheduled. Sorry for the inconvenience. So we will persevere on as though they were actually here. So.
So if you hear snoring, that's me spinning in my
That's right,
seat
yeah.
and sleeping because I've been up all night watching the coronation.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Trump 24 will. Let's keep losing a fourth time. Do you think Trump will run, and will he be elected, Shane?
I'm not calling elections anymore in your country. I don't get it. So
okay.
I don't know how bad it has to get in your country before people decide to change their vote. I don't know how bad.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think Biden may have Hunter as his running mate. So Biden and Biden.
I mentioned that to you about 3 or 4 weeks ago, right? Like he is the smartest guy he knows.
I like it, Biden and Biden. Yeah,
that's right. He takes his son, everywhere with him. So obviously he's a major influence.
True. That's what they tell me anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see if let's go to the phones. 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's going on? All right. Let's go here. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning, boys. Right on, John here.
Hi, John.
It's our
since Scott and them can't make it, I decided that I better call in quick.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay. So somebody gave me a copy of the state constitution. I had that little pocket value one, but it's hard to read. And one of the things that really stood out with me in Article 1, Section 3, the Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state for 6 years. And each senator shall have 1 vote. So why is Montana initially out of the gate? With Thatcher and stuff like that, we only had 1 senator for quite some time when the Constitution states it. We should have 2 per state.
Do have 2. But you do have 2.
We do have 2? Oh, duh. Oh, okay. I'm acting like the sea monster here.
I know you. We know you are. You're being facetious.
Oh well, after reading it the other night, I was going like, do we actually have 2 or not? Let's get into the Zoe. He wasted $300,000 to $400,000 of our taxpayers' money with the annex, and I really propose somebody do a countersue on that one. Daryl up in Kalispell sent me a link to this 2,000 horsepower new electric car, but I could buy it next week there for $2 million if I had that in my pocket, and it still runs on batteries. They don't have my technology, so it goes. Maybe I can get a discount if I don't use their batteries. Let's see here. I don't know. Did they have that vegetarian Democratic meeting in the Flathead last night?
I have no idea.
Is that an election that took place?
Yeah, they had some kind of super Democratic meeting, and I doubt that any of the ranchers and anything showed on up. It's just stupid. I don't know where they want to go with that. And finally on this, I had to block the sea monster from the Facebook because that guy, he keeps touching on in with stupid, un-American, unjustified, infactual, so many things, and you wonder why on those text lines, we know exactly who it is, and I call him the sea monster. But if I was you, Tom, I'd block him off your Facebook because he's out trolling everybody. He's out trolling everybody that is on your Facebook and hammering them. Yeah. So but please do, because yes, it provides an edge to your radio show on his stupid comments and un-American comments, but it's he's got to go. He won't admit which company he owns in Bozeman. He won't admit anything like this for fear of retaliation. And for given right. From a
Saturday 3-hour show, he's going to get retaliation at his business.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. He'd end up being like the Bud Light and lose. You know what I mean? So,
well, you think if he had that many right-wing customers, he might want to rethink his position.
Well, yeah. Well, he wants to hide under a rock and be all secretive. But you know who it is. But I'm not going to say who it is.
Yeah.
But
no, we don't dox people here.
Yeah. Nancy, I'm so glad I'm not running against you. But I am, as I get my camp all set up and everything like this, I am looking for a run for the U.S. Senate, because I think, well, as the fact checker, as Shane likes to call me, I have enough knowledge, and I've been pretty much training for this most of my life by family, friends, and new people I met, like Greg Giaforte, Steve Gaines, and everything like that I've been to pretty much every one of their rallies and learned so much about from. It won't be too long here before you start hearing because like Zoe Zephyr could what isn't even the original name. So I contacted the Secretary of State and stuff like that. I says, okay, we need on that document. We need your name, like legal name, your legal sex at birth, and then you could have a line at running as. So I'll have my John Dinnany, but I'll be running as Right On John.
All right.
And I'm getting some great support down here in the Livingston Paradise Valley area. So.
All right. Good job, John.
And I hope to utilize you, Shane, in some of the numbers stuff, and maybe out of all the money that I raise, I can transfer some money up there to you in Canada.
No, please. I don't need anybody wanting to look for me.
Gotta go, John. I'm up against the clock. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. Good luck to you.
Have a great weekend, boys.
All right. Cheers. Take care. All right. That's going to wrap it up for this hour. We've still got a full hour and a half to go, and boy, it's going to be a lot to talk about. So we come back, we're going to talk about Trump's deposition, his rape trial, so that should be interesting. And then we're also going to talk about, 50 House Republicans don't like the debt claims, and also Biden, is there a FBI doc somewhere that he doesn't want out? We're going to talk about that too, so... We'll be back, believe it or not, in spite of your cards, letters, and phone calls right after this. 27 minutes for the top of the hour. It is Saturday. It's May 6th. It's 2023. Kentucky Derby Day. 4 dead horses at Churchill Downs. They're investigating what's going on there. And it's also Coronation Day for King Charles III. Big celebration over in England, of course. And we're keeping an eye on that. If anybody croaks or does anything untoward, we'll let you know as soon as anything like that happens. So let's see. We got to talk about a couple of things here. Let's see. If you don't know what district you're in, you have no business in politics. Well, the districts have all been redrawn, and whether or not the maps are out or whatever, and in a town as small as Roundup, possibly that could be a communication deal. I want to know why employees let their younger employers say the term "have a good one." It's such a lackadaisical way. I can't say it, James.
Lazy daxial.
Yeah, lazy daxial, I guess. Lackadaisical. There we go. Way to have a good day. If I owned a business, that phrase would not be allowed. What do you think, Shane? Have a good one just is kind of dismissing the thing?
I think I think you need to be more aggressive. Kill it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's 4:00. I hope you have an excellent day between 4:00 and 9:00 tonight. So good for you.
Public service announcement, if I may.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, remember next Sunday's Mother's Day, the 14th of May.
Okay. I think we'll mention that next Saturday.
It's the busiest day in the restaurant business, so if you're going for breakfast, you better make a reservation if there are any left.
That's true. From our text line, 478-8298, one thing that seems to always go unmentioned is before Trump ran for president, he built skyscrapers, golf courses, credible construction projects, employing thousands of people with good-paying jobs and subsequently contributing to the economy. On the other hand, Joe Biden has never accomplished anything other than enriching himself and his family through nefarious deals with China, Ukraine, and others while being a government-employed parasite.
Well, the Trump company, we've talked about before, and historically, they've never made less than $500 million a year. So, I mean, it's a money machine, and it's worked well for his family. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, that's for sure. Nancy and Right on John will no longer be able to call in when the election nears. Well, there's no fairness doctrine any longer. That went away. So as long as I give opposing candidates time, and I don't have to give them equal time because that doctrine is gone, as long as I offer time to all parties, as far as I know, Nancy and Right on can call as much as they want. So
well, that's right. And look at the number of people you've reached out to that have not decided to make use of free radio time during campaigns. I've always found that, again, quite fascinating, because if I was running for office, why wouldn't you come on this program and have you interview them for half an hour?
Yeah, in fact, I reached out to the Democrats in the last election, and I was surprised how many came in. I really was, because I thought they would be chastised for appearing just on this station, not with me, but I mean just on a conservative radio station. But they came in, and to their credit, did well, and answered the questions, and it informed the voters.
That's right, especially local politicians. They're always the best, because all politics are local.
Yeah. Well, we ran into this thing before when we had the county commissioners in, when we were doing Monday through Friday, and one of the county commissioners was running. One of the opponents called and talked about, why is he on? And what we were doing, he was talking strictly on county business, not election stuff, not
and
positions.
That was good.
Not positions, things like that. So the fairness doctrine, in case you don't know what that is, that was the FCC was entitled to give equal time to all candidates or opposition candidates of whoever came in, and it was a logistic nightmare to.
That's right.
Get the time exact and if one person went 1 minute over, then we had to give another person another minute, and it was silly. So glad it's gone. So there you are. So yeah. Let's see. U.S. labor market non-farm payrolls increased 253,000 in April. Unemployment rate falls to 3.4 from 3.5, and the average hourly earning rises 0.5%, up 4.4% year over year.
Well, what else would you expect with 7 million people invading your country for jobs?
Yeah, I guess.
It's no surprise here, buddy.
Yeah. Well, that would mean, the increase in jobs, that would be people off of, the 3.4 to 3.5. We've always been dubious of that number, Shane, the unemployment, because there's 6 levels of unemployment that the government looks at. And there isn't a way to tell whether someone got a job or they just quit looking.
And remember, since 1972, I don't mean to interrupt you, but just to remind everyone,
just don't do it again.
Since 1972, economists say 3.0 unemployment is full employment, because that covers people retiring or changing jobs or moving and changing jobs. So you would never get to zero unemployment, but that's where you're at. You're probably at 3% or even less, really.
Yeah, I no way to know. Let's look here. The official unemployed 5.7 million, actual unemployed 11.2 million. So that kind of puts it in perspective, I guess. Yeah. Well, in other news, the video of President Trump's deposition in E. Jean Carroll's lawsuit was released on Friday. I'll put a link to that in the replay description. I'll have the replay up probably around 11:30 or so today. So if you want to go over and watch that, it's 48 minutes long. Shows Trump responding to questions from Carroll's lawyer over the writer's claim that he raped her in the mid-1970s. Trump denies her allegations, of course. Carroll is suing Trump in federal court in New York City, accusing him of sexual battery and defamation. And I think this thing occurred back in the when was it, Shane? I'm trying to look here and see when.
You know what, Tom? I listened. I looked at and watched the questioning. It was really sad that this woman lawyer asked him the type of questions that she did. If a man did that to a woman, it would be horrific, but it, of course, doesn't apply to men in your country, number one. Number two, look, there's just, I agree with him in a couple of comments he made. One, major store, busy at the time. The economy was strong. Everybody knew who he was. If it was true, they would have heard it. With staff in the store, or it just, none of it makes any sense. It's like the story of him groping a woman on an airplane, and that he supposedly sat next to, and then the guy from England, had the ticket to prove he was in the aisle seat next to him, and said, I talked to him the whole time. He never touched her. I mean, it's just. Well,
the other thing, the reason I was looking for this is because the statute of limitations ran out a long time ago. But New York passed a law to protect the abuse of children. That abused children could bring charges long after the statute of limitations run out, and this law also applied to assault victims. So she decided this would be a good time to do this. Now. Is Trump guilty? That's up to a jury. I'm not going to sit here and say he's innocent or it didn't happen or, she's a kook or what. It may have legitimately happened, and if it did, Trump should pay the price for it. So,
well, the the big concern here you have to look at is she wrote a book. So what a great way to publish
that would be
public
it.
relation public relations up the upstream by bringing us all out. So whatever.
Dare I say, as a woman, Trump did not have to rape anyone. A billionaire had beautiful women throwing themselves at him.
Which, by the way, on that bus ride, he admitted to.
Yeah. Well,
it's
you and I know how it is, Shane. I mean, women just can't get enough of us.
That's right. I mean, there was that story this week of that young lady from MSNBC that they let go because she was doing a Zoom camera. Turns out it's from a hotel room. And of course, a fellow stepped into the background on her Zoom camera and she had to whisk him away like this, with her hand.
Get out of the way.
Turned out to be a billionaire. then they did some investigating and found out, well, she's dating several billionaires, right? So
there you are. I still can't believe anyone would support a man who refuses to accept election results that he lost. If your ego is that weak, you have no business in politics. Yeah, I think it's time Trump abandoned the I lost or I won, position.
Well, what about why that gal in Georgia hasn't about the governorship?
Well, that's true. Yeah, Stacey Abrams.
She's vice president in 2000. He's still complaining. Part of the Clinton. Gang and so on and so forth. But it is what it is, right?
Yeah. Something
for them to keep themselves in the 24-hour news cycle, buddy.
There you go. Yeah. Let's see. So in Canada, can I change their money and put the king on their money? Well, I guess they're going to put the king on the money anyway.
Well, they do that.
They're going to do that. They're going to do that normally. So.
Yeah.
All right, so that works for me. So I don't know. We you have live people on your money. We have dead people on our money.
Not always. We have a lot. We have
You have some denominations of currency with dead people on them.
Yeah, the 5s and 10s and 20s have past prime ministers.
Yeah. You don't have metric money.
Our money metrically in size is smaller than yours. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, geez. Oh, let's see. Well, California, Shane, wacko state they are, the Reparations Task Force will vote on a series of proposals this weekend that could see descendants of slavery living in the state each receive up to $1.2 million, Shane.
Which is amazing because of the number of people California's lost in the last 4 years, and the revenue of $29 billion. And New York is like $17 billion, and the number of people that have left that state. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it's laughable.
Yeah, in a series of documents published Monday, the task force indicated it will vote Saturday to recommend the state of California officially apologize for racism and slavery and offer down payments of varying amounts to eligible black residents. Here's what to know about the proposal, which would cost $800 billion. And who qualifies? That would be the big question, I guess. So.
Everyone.
Yeah, more than 2.5 million, or about 6.5% of Californians are black, according to the latest data from the U.S. Census Bureau. Although that doesn't mean all can trace their heritage back and meet the requirements. The task force, in order to be eligible for reparations, applicants must be a resident of California and have proof that they're a resident, and have been a resident for at least 6 months within. Of time within each area of harm. So,
okay, so all the people that came over for Jamestown, mostly Irish from England, and then the first black from the Caribbean, basically, well, they were all indentured servants. They were slaves. So anybody with any background history, go check it out. And your family coming from England, they had to sign agreements with the company that paid paid for their trip over or to get a ticket. So anything they created, anything that they did was owned by the company. They were indentured service, and that's why Jamestown collapsed, because no one had any incentive to do anything. They couldn't go out and claim land because they'd have to give it to the company. Long story short, that was the precedent. So basically, everyone in your country that's an immigrant from anywhere can be considered entitled to this.
Yeah,
not just African Americans. So they're going to bite off more than they can chew on this one.
Yeah. Well, they're not just basing this on slavery. For restitution for mass incarceration and over-policing of black communities, they're providing $115,000 per person and $20 or $2,352 for each year of residency there in jail, Shane, for the war on drugs, because they were sentenced to nearly double the amount of time as white people did.
Well, and all these people coming in and invading California from Central America and Mexico, they're all looking for amnesty. They're illegal immigrants, and they start saying that they should be entitled to reparations because of drugs and being forced to come and forced to pay the cartels, and right there, all I have to do is say, see my handband here and this phone number.
Yeah.
If I don't pay him, I die.
Yeah, there you go.
So can you help me out with reparations? Yeah. So
I got to pay these guys off,
Yeah.
Well, for those
guys, they don't think any of this through.
Yeah. Well, also those who faced discriminatory housing policies between 1933 and 1977, when redlining, which meant simply meant that banks would not make loans to people in certain areas, mostly occurred. The proposal suggests $148,000 per person, or $3,366 for each year between 33 and 77.
A perfect example. So anybody in the middle class, lower middle class, and then the lower class, upper lower class, middle lower class, they're all entitled to reparations, and that's everybody. Brown, black, white, Chinese, or Asian rather. They're all in. So
that'll be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when will the payouts begin? The task force set to meet Saturday and vote. Their vote is simply a recommendation. The state legislature and the government will have the final say whether to follow the task force suggestions. And I would assume they're going to be pushbacks from both, because we're talking $80 billion in a state that's broke, Shane.
You think?
Yeah, I would think so. I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
It is amazing.
There we go. So,
and all of this is just to maintain the minorities that support them and their 30 to 32% vote in local elections and state elections. That's all it is. None of the promises the Democratic Party make are ever pursued, except ones that damage your country, and we've seen that in the last 4 years. So
well, Shane, as you know, in the time we've got left, the Republicans are always on the hook for wanting to get rid of Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, everything that benefits an American. Republicans are totally against, and a group of 56 House Republicans tore into Secretary of Veterans Affairs Dennis McDonough for his department's assertions that the GOP's debt ceiling increase and spending cuts would slash veterans' benefits. And I've seen that reported in more than one place, Shane. So the Republicans say that isn't the case, that the veterans aren't going to lose any money under their proposal to limit the debt ceiling, that the Republicans want to increase the credit card by $1 trillion. And the Republicans are a little against that.
Well, this started, which we found to be quite strange back in during the Obama years. I guess it was 2016. And if you remember back then, they controlled the White House, the Senate, and the House, and they passed a bill and a resolution, and Obama signed it, saying that the debt ceiling would be unlimited. There was no limit to the debt ceiling. So that's where you are right now. There's no limit right now. So what you're really talking about is putting a debt ceiling on it, but that's not the way the Democrats are selling it. They're accusing of the Republicans not agreeing to the grandfather clause, which has to be renewed every 4 years. So the House is just saying they're not going to. This idea that your Treasury Secretary, oh my goodness, head of the Federal Reserve, is saying, June 1st, the departments are going to run out of money. If you go look at all their balance sheets, you can. You go look at all the balance sheets of every department in your government, federal government. They're stashed with cash. I mean, they've got hundreds of billions of dollars from COVID funding that was virtually deposited. So it's one of these dog whistles.
Well, yeah, no question about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's just,
I don't know.
No, but Biden's saying this week, and it's really bad for the market. Biden's saying this week, are you really going to risk the United States defaulting on its debt? We, as you and I have talked, and you've got the numbers. The U.S. pays its interest, and they keep rolling their debt over. And the only problem you've had in the last 2 years is you're down $2 trillion in foreign ownership of your debt. It's down. We talked about it 2 weeks ago. No point in going over it again. And the worst culprit, of course, is China. Since 2019, they've gone from 1.3 trillion down to 900 trillion. Yeah. 900 billion. So, other people have picked up the slack a bit because other markets are growing.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, as his deposition, they show Trump a picture of a rape victim, and he identifies as Marla, his wife. So,
yeah, I know.
She's not my type defense. Defending oil companies of the region is the religion of the GOP. The only reason they defend them is because liberals hate them. Well, I don't agree with that. I think the reason they defend it is because it's the cheapest way to get from point A to point B, and will be for the next 1,000 years. So,
of course.
There we are. All right. That's going to wrap it up for this segment. And we still have, believe it or not, friends, we've still got a full hour to go.
Wow.
I'm impressed with how fast the show goes. Well, we still got to talk about Biden's bribery scheme. We got to talk about Christopher Wray. We got to talk about the White House crackdown on artificial intelligence, and Clarence Thomas. He's got more problems. So we got to talk about all of that when we come back. So stay tuned. A lot more with Tom and Shane coming up. Welcome back, everyone. The final hour of this week's Tom and Shane Open for Business. Saturday, it's May 6, 2023. It's Kentucky Derby weekend, and it's also the coronation of King Charles III in England. And that's been nonstop on the airwaves all night and all morning. So, Shane, yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. Well, the other thing that just came up on Fox News, Shane, Title 42 is going to expire on Thursday. So,
they've been talking about this for months.
Yeah, they have. And the masses are massing at the border. Santa Ana had fewer people than these guys.
Yeah, 3,000, wasn't it? Yeah.
I don't know how many he had, but well, there's more than that sitting there on the other side of the border. So, Title 42 was originally during the COVID to prevent disease coming into the U.S. or COVID from entering. And so that's going to expire on Thursday. I think it was renewed a couple of times, Shane, or revised a couple of times. But it's over on Thursday.
Yeah, it started out as a Trump executive order, and then because he found something that he could use to stop people from invading your country, and Congress looked at it and passed it, and he signed it off, but it was grandfathered, like most things like that, and it has to be renewed. So there you
go. Excuse me. Cup of coffee went down the wrong pipe.
Well, the great thing about Trump, and it's cool that you're going through all these lists of things he's done. There wasn't one executive order that he signed that didn't designate that passage by the Congress that or had to include a grandfather clause, because one of the biggest problems he had, as we know, is the number of laws that are on the books in the United States. And there's literally hundreds of thousands of them that should expire. And one of the biggest problems in your judicial system is ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it should be. When you look at the number of laws, nobody can know them all. So I think ignorance of the law is a very good excuse.
Well, it isn't anymore with AI.
No, it isn't.
Ask AI. Because,
I was going to say I could go see what the law is on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, President Biden allegedly engaged in allegedly. Well, I'm going to stress that, Shane. Allegedly engaged in
saying it so people hear you, because you don't want to get emails.
I want to say allegedly engaged in a criminal scheme involving the Vice President Joe Biden and a foreign national, James Comer, a Republican of Kentucky. He's on the House Oversight Committee chairman, said on Wednesday, the American people need to know if President Biden sold out the U.S. To make money for himself. And I think, as I said on our podcast on Thursday, I think this is going nowhere. It's like the Adam Schiff whistleblower. Never materialized, never showed, never happened.
Well, and it's worse than that, though, too, because there is a whistleblower. Well, there's like 15 now or 20, but there is a whistleblower from the Justice Department with an email that basically locks your president into the scheme. Now, he's turned that over to the proper people in the House, in the proper people that are investigating these on the committees, and all they're saying is deny this or give us the copy, right?
Yeah.
So this isn't complicated for the FBI or the Department of Justice, or even Biden's lawyers, which there are several. His son's picked up a new team that's going to go scorch earth, apparently, but that's the problem. They actually have the email that this guy was part of the investigation and gave to him, but it's not that they're not going to use it in their discussions or interviewing people that are involved, but they simply want a response from the Justice Department and the FBI of the Justice Department, whether A, do you have this, and B, do you deny this, and it isn't real. That's it. But, they'll delay. They always do, right?
Well, I think so. I don't think this is going anywhere. It's more of a political, to take your mind off of the other bad things that are going on in the administration. So. But from our text line, 478-8298, there's zilch evidence linking Joe Biden to Hunter. Download the laptop emails, nothing in there despite lying Rudy's spin. I don't care what's on the laptop. I just want somebody to subpoena people who have seen the laptop and testify under oath there's nothing on it, or there is. So,
well, we already know that Biden has told untruths because the record of these people visiting the White House, of the people involved with his son, there's like 75 meetings of the people coming into the White House, and pictures of your president and his son with these people involved with his son, golfing on golf courses and meetings. And there's a lot of witnesses that were directly involved and aren't our firsthand witnesses. They're not secondhand or hearsay. So it's just one of these. Well, it's the swamp, right?
Well, it is. Yeah.
That's why Trump called it the swamp.
All right, more spin from our woke text line, 478-8298. Let's see. They're just putting it up too fast for me to read, Jay.
I love it. I'm so glad they're out there listening to us and enjoying their Saturday, sending back these comments. It's
right, yeah. Trump will be the greatest job. Well, let's see. Trump's first president says Hubert Humphrey. I'm sorry, not Hubert Humphrey. I don't think Hubert made the presidency.
Hoover.
Yeah, Trump is the first president, says Herbert Hoover, to actually lose jobs during his term. That's 89 years, 2.96 million. Well, that would have been Biden's record if he had been elected.
Well, and it's just not true. We've been going over these numbers.
Well, it is
for 10
true.
years.
COVID shut the whole country down. There was loss of jobs everywhere.
And so I was just going to say that. Thank you. But the other side of it, Trump got to 160 million. Right now, it's at 161,700,000. So this growth since Biden's been in is a result of this invasion of people into your country, taking up jobs that no one else would take. And the Labor Department is saying there's 11 jobs out there to be filled. So
yeah. Well, that's what we
you could get to 172 million employed. That's a good thing.
You could be. Coronation for Charles. For those who like him, it's King Charles III. For those who do not, it's King Chuck the Yuck. That's from Jim. So thank you, Jim, for a little comedic relief this morning. So basically, the Dems threatened VA funding if Biden didn't get more money. No, they didn't threaten VA at all. So
no, and they increased it. The Republicans have been very supportive of veterans in your country. They always have. That's never changed.
Yeah. Biden inherited 10% unemployment left for him by Trump. Well, Biden would have inherited 10% unemployment regardless. So COVID.
Yeah. It wasn't because of Trump.
Say it with me. COVID. Let's
just call it C-19.
As a Republican, I can admit when I am wrong on a statement. When has anyone heard a Democrat follow suit? That's from our AM 1450 KMMS text line on your smartphone. Democrats threaten VA funding if measure passes. The measure would set next year's non-defense federal spending at fiscal 2022 levels, about 20% below what President Joe Biden suggested in his budget plan. All right. So there we are.
Well, you have to look at his overall plan. I mean, even the Office of Budget Management in your country looked at it, and they scaled it out over 10 years to like $90 trillion. Right? It's so far-reaching and irresponsible that you can't understand how a person would send that up to the hill for consideration.
I was going to say. Well, would 2022 levels, would that affect school lunch programs? Would that? How about age-dependent children? How about Head Start? Is it going to affect all of those? Yes, it will.
Well, and you had the mayor of New York saying the government can't keep sending these invaders to New York City. They're bust, and the ex-mayor of Chicago during her campaign to be reelected said none of this makes sense that the teachers did this because
Mm-hmm.
we put $300 million into Chicago schools to improve the ventilating system and separation. So like now they're all sort of rewriting history. It's like, well, it really wasn't our fault.
Yeah.
That's great.
From our text line, 4788298, COVID, seems Republicans blame Biden for the COVID economy and inflation. No, he's the result. That's the result of COVID.
That's correct.
He wouldn't have anything to do with it. If Trump had been reelected, Trump would be in the same position.
I'm not so sure. I think that one of the
going into office, he would be. Going into office,
I appreciate that, but
yeah.
I think when Trump went in 2016, he trusted a lot of people. I mean, he trusted that congressman running the House, from Wisconsin. They all lied to him because none of them liked him. So he's not going to go in and trust anybody of the Republican Party. He's met enough people. He's talked to enough people. He knows who he wants to run the FBI now. He knows who he wants to run the Department of Justice. So I think he'd go in and, he'd. I don't think it'd be so many executive orders, Thomas, as two pieces of paper as people came into his office. One would be a resignation, and the others that he's already signed saying you're fired. So I just think for the first month of his, if he's reelected, the first month in office, he'd be literally cleaning house. Right?
There you go. It's almost like Republicans don't believe COVID caused worldwide inflation. Well, it did. I mean, duh.
Well, of course it did.
Nobody's blaming Biden for the world economy.
And if we're to believe the numbers, it's 7 million. I don't think it's that much. We both agree it was a cause. It enhanced people to pass because they had other mental or medical issues. What I do believe is that it was really bad in China. I think the numbers, based on what they did, I mean, they locked down their country and hundreds of millions of people for 4 years. They had to have lost 10, 20, 30 million people, but we'll never know.
Yeah. Let's see. Trump cut funding for Meals on Wheels. What a guy. No, he didn't. President can't just cut spending of some agency. That's Congress. Congress creates a budget. The president sends a suggested budget to them. They don't have to abide by it at all. They pass their own budget. He either signs it or he doesn't, and it's a done deal. So, you can blame him for, you cut him for, highway funds if you want. It doesn't work that way.
No, but the way it does work is the president also has the discretion of not doing his job, meaning not enforcing laws that have been passed or that he's even signed. And he can redirect funds from one department to another. And that's, Trump took that all the way to the Supreme Court. And he said, the executive can do anything. So it's all a storyline, and don't blame me. I'm not responsible.
Why do I hear on KMMS Biden's inflation, not the pandemic inflation? Well, I'll be happy to call it the pandemic inflation if it'll make you happy, because that's what it is. So, of
course it is.
Yeah. Let's see. Yes, the Trump budget definitely cut Meals on Wheels. Well, so what? I'm sure he cut other things besides Meals on Wheels. And the Congress could either accept that or not.
Well, yeah. You know what? I agree with you on there, Eagle Man.
Yep. Okay. And he also cut the regulations on rail cars. Have the Democrats taken care of that? Because it sure seems to me like we've had a hell of a lot of train derailments since Biden took office. where's the Democrats on reinstating the regulations on the railroad?
Well, your Secretary of Transportation is running it like he did.
Oh, that guy.
Like the city he was mayor of,
Pothole Pete.
He couldn't fix the potholes, and he's not going to fix the trains. So it's one of those issues that are, you look at it, and you'd like to think that people would be responsible for it. Now, in our country, all those trains, particularly ones carrying all the chemicals, they have to be, double layered, and they can't double up two of those in a row or three or four. They have to be spread out. So if the train goes down, you don't have half of these tanker trucks with these terrible things, together that can cause a disaster that we've seen. The other side of that is the amount of what's shipped besides these things on train tracks, and that's a lot of containers. 60% of the containers are sent and delivered to people, and the final delivery, of course, is 80% by 18-wheelers. They either take it right off the ship or they take it off a train somewhere in your country and mine.
That's true. Yeah. So I guess Chow had nothing to do with the Secretary Chow under Trump. I guess she had nothing to do with that, because she was confirmed by a vote of 93-6 in the Senate.
Yeah, well, she's McConnell, Senator McConnell's wife.
Yeah, she is.
She was also Secretary of Transportation under Bush's administration, and that's because her family owns one of the largest shipping companies in China. So she had vast Chinese connections through the back door for those administrations to reach out to people if they had to. In some ways that's maybe positive, and others you could take it as a bad sign.
Yeah, so that's it. So, all right. Well,
you ran out of.
Well, email? No, I'm just looking at the text here, and I don't see anything that qualifies as adding to the discussion.
That's a topic.
That's fine. I have a real conundrum here, Shane. That. Well,
one of the things I just wanted to ask your opinion of. I'm sure you've seen the video of what they're saying is a drone, that hit the Capitol, but one of the towers in the Kremlin.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a dozen towers in the Kremlin.
Yeah,
so you don't know if that's the one that Putin sleeps under or not. But clearly, the video the next day showed that it didn't do any damage. But what did you think? I mean, it's either the Americans, the someone in Russia, or the Ukrainians, right?
Well, I don't know. Well, first of all, you gotta drones, unless they're the kind governments use,
right?
And this wasn't one. I mean, this was a small thing.
This is very small.
Yeah. So that would indicate to me you're going to have somebody controlling it pretty closely nearby. So you've got to get the thing into the country, or have it sent into the country somehow. And, maybe you put, I don't know, gas on it or something to make it explode. But I don't think it was Ukrainians. I think it was probably teenagers, more than likely.
That's good. Russian
teenagers, yeah. So.
But you got to put that Russia.
I got to put the Russian teenagers in there. So.
That's good, Eagle. That I like that. It is fabulous.
Well, Comer is they're going to subpoena FBI Director Christopher Wray, seeking a specific newly revealed document we just talked about earlier that could get to the bottom of credible whistleblower provided information. I don't think there's any information there, but Wray can sit there and tell the truth if he likes, but or doesn't.
Well, I want to go over this real quick, because I believe this is the case. Okay, I watch him in front of all these committees, and he just doesn't answer, and then he finally says, "Oh, well, that's an ongoing investigation." Sorry, sir.
Yeah,
that precedent has been changed. The previous head of the FBI changed it when he did the investigation with regards to Mrs. Clinton, and he released information about the investigation on her, and he gave it to a friend who ended up giving it to someone at the New York Times. So he set a new precedent that you can talk about cases that are under investigation. So now answer the question. But not one Republican has come up with that line of questioning.
Yeah. Well, we got the House and the Senate on this. We got Comer in the House. We got Grassley in the Senate, and we're going to talk more about that when we return. So we'll see.
Yeah, you're out of time. You only got like 20 seconds.
I've got 45 seconds actually, but
but I'm going to take up 10.
Go for it.
You're looking terrific today, Tom.
I
really
do,
like
don't
the way
I look nice.
And you should see him, folks. He's got a Tom and Shane hat on.
I have a Tom and Shane hat. Yeah.
He's up to date with Hannity and Hannity's hats.
Yeah, if you see me out in the out running around in the grocery stores or Walmart or Target or wherever I happen to be, and you see my Tom and Shane hat, keep the violence to a minimum. And just say hi.
No, ask to buy one. He'll sell them to you for $50.
Yeah, right. That'll be it. We'll be right back with more Tom and Shane, as my hat says, right after this. Welcome back, everyone. Derby weekend, Kentucky Derby weekend. I keep wanting to call him Prince Charles. King Charles is on the balcony getting that heavy crown.
No, it's done. He's crowned.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. He's trying to keep that thing on his head, and what was it? Camilla? Is that her name?
Yeah, the Queen Mary crown. It has been.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was crowned, and that crown hasn't been pulled out of the Tower of London since 1933. Wow. He gets an orb and a scepter that he carries, and it's interesting that the scepter has the largest cut diamond in the world, 50 carats.
Wow.
And it started out to be a 300 carat diamond, and it was cut down to 50 carats to put in the scepter. The jewels in the
crown,
the crowns, and all the jewelry they wear is quite exceptional. And of course, it's been collected by the company, as they call the royal family. Over 200 years, 300 years of foreign involvement, let's say.
Okay. I'm excited to know that.
I have an appreciation of rare gems. I think they're cool.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. We were talking before we went on the air, Shane, about these people are first of all, I think it's sad that they are born into this. You don't know what kind of people they're going to be. The English hierarchy has a history of violence, beheading people, wars, you name it. Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII and all these folks were pretty nasty people back in the day. And now, you have these people that sit on these thrones, and they don't really do much other than they give. Philanthropy is about the only thing they do that benefits the people. And, the prime minister runs the show in Parliament. I don't think the king signs any laws passed by Parliament, do they?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So, I'm wondering if has time passed this, what I want to call it, I don't know. I can't find the word.
Well, William the Conqueror in England started this in 1066, so that's why it's over 1,000-year case. But as I commented about Charles in the previous, for Charles I and II, and their problems that they had. So the interesting thing about this is that him and his wife named their son William. So William is,
next in line.
Next in line, and interestingly enough, Charles is 70 and Camilla's 75. She's 5 years older than him.
He's 74, isn't he?
I think he's 70.
I think he's 74. I think I looked it up.
74. Okay. Anyway, the point, the importance is I don't know how long he'll be on the throne. He seems to be a relatively healthy individual, but I think William may be the last king of in England. We'll see.
He's 74. November 14th, 1948. Yeah, he's 74.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah. I guess tradition is the word I was trying to search for earlier. This is an ongoing tradition that Britain has. That I know there are other countries. Jordan has a queen, and some of these other countries.
And so do the North countries: Finland, Norway, Sweden. The Danes have one. Belgium has a royal family. I mean, that are actually working. Monaco, but a lot of the other royals, they basically lost everything in World War I, and so that was sort of the downfall of the majestic belief of divine right, and that's one of the reasons that Charles I got in trouble. Was he believed in divine right, that he had been blessed by God to be king, so he was entitled to total control, baby.
Yeah. From our text line 478-8298, yes, we were supposed to have Scott Sales and Steve White in this hour. They had an emergency come up. One of them, I guess, did or whatever. So we will reschedule them for another time. So we'll get them back in here. So,
but give them a hands out, props out, badbills.com, and you can go see what happened in your state.
Yeah, that's right. Time to retire old guys from politics, 75 years or younger or older, I guess. What do you think, Shane? Should we have a time limit on politics? Should we have a retirement age on?
With what we've seen historically for the last 70 years, well, or more, of the way the Americans vote, age has nothing to do with it. I mean, look at this senator in California. She's 89.
Yeah.
It's like, why wasn't she resign? Because the governor of California would pick a Democrat who would have 2 years or a year and a half to trying to convince people to vote for them. It's very strange stuff.
Yeah, it is kind of strange, isn't it? That I mean, it's not going to change the makeup of the Senate at all.
No,
the numbers will be the same. So
same with what's his name in Iowa? We've talked about investigating the Bidens. He's in his 80s too, and he ran. I think he was 82 or something, and he decided to run again and got elected. But I just think that that people find the allure of power too great, and it's a very bad habit of a human being, being in that position and not finding it easy to give it up. The perks are fabulous,
Your leftist text message listeners prove that Trump derangement syndrome is unabated. Imagine most are still clinging desperately to the debunked Russian hoax initiated by Hillary Clinton and perpetuated by the decadent left media and equally corrupt Democrat Party. Sad, the ignorance of so much of America, of the American electorate. And that is sad.
What do they call it? The Trump syndrome?
Derangement syndrome.
Okay, derangement. I just think it's a derangement syndrome. A derangement syndrome on its own. because it just follows up what I was just previously commenting on. And, the split is very simple. 32% Democrat they rely on, 31.5% Republican they rely on, and the other, 39% is independents, libertarians, and undecided or non-voters. So there you go.
Long live the yuck. That's from Gay. And I bet Biden is putting nickels on the rails to our derail. But did you ever do that, Shane? Put pennies on the rail and train to go by? But
it's just great. And it was great to make wrist bracelets, you can
punch holes in them and
you can do really cool stuff. But of course, it's against the law.
You're destroying currency.
You're defacing currency, and that's a bad thing.
I guess, Ray, talking about the either the Bidens or the Royals, one of the two. Gay says you mean stolen from all over the world. So I don't know if she's referring to that diamond or if she's referring to Biden and his things coming up. Well, this presents another situation here, Shane. We've got Hunter down in Arkansas, and the judge under oath wants to see his financials. Where's the money coming from? He's paying $100,000 for lawyers, and as you pointed out, he just hired a couple more that have not been approved by the Biden administration.
He's clashing now with his father's White House.
So this could unravel some things. We already know he's one of his attorneys paid his tax bill. So were his sources?
The question becomes, and I got to interrupt you because I want to get it in because we're getting down to it. Mm-hmm. So here you go, Eagle Man. Right here it comes. Will Hunter go to prison and not give up his uncles or fathers?
I'm sorry, what?
Will Hunter Biden go to prison or give up his uncles and father?
No. Boy, that's a tough one.
No, it's a theoretical.
Yeah, it's a tough question.
But I'm saying if he's nailed for this 20 years in prison for the gun, just the gun issue, does he make a deal to give up his uncles and dad, not to go to prison? What do you think?
Boy, that's tough. He's pretty self-serving, I think.
I know.
That is. I don't think he'll give up dad. He might give up the uncles.
Well,
I don't think he's going to give up dad.
They'll give up their brother. I mean, if they're going to be given, So then it puts Biden in a position where, oh my God, I gotta pardon my brothers and my son. This will work out well for re-election. Hypothetical. It's just a hypothetical.
Oh well. Let's see. Royal jewels, Gay. Yeah, Gay was talking about the royal jewels when she was talking about stolen from all over the world. So, okay.
But then, when you look at it that way, we all are, because every element that we've talked about, every mineral, everything that we've used has been stolen from all over the world.
Of course it has.
They've been mining everything all over the world. So,
as I've said on this program for years, every inch of land on this planet has been taken by force from someone else.
That's right. And he who mines first wins.
That's
right?
it. Shane is accusing Hunter's uncles and fathers of something he has absolutely no evidence for. That's a disgrace.
I didn't accuse anybody. It was a hypothetical question.
Yeah.
Did you not hear me say hypothetically?
Yeah. If you have evidence against Joe Biden, show it. Otherwise, stop accusing him of something that you have nothing. I'm not accusing him of anything. We're just reporting that he's, this whistleblower is going to show up and he'll either have something or he won't. Huh?
Well, he's already turned it over to him, and they've already admitted to it. So we're just reporting the news. Give us a break.
Yeah, and Shane really wants President Harris. Right. Shane doesn't care because he's in Canada. It doesn't matter what happens to us.
Yeah, but my new position on her is she wants to be president, but she's not gonna go out and grab it and try and take Biden down to do it. So she has to play stupid or laugh a lot. Because I just don't see her being that dumb as everyone's portraying her. She's a smart Demi.
Let's see. Jim Jordan has all the bank wire transfers and he refuses to implicate Joe Biden. Why? Because there's nothing there.
Well, that's not exactly true. The Chinese sent the bank records for the Bidens. They have. So that's what, 4 weeks old. So like, again, laughable, but not, this is what we've been told. So, I mean, the Chinese, this didn't come from the committee. The Chinese government said they gave the bank records to the committee. So it wasn't the committee saying the Chinese gave it to us. Like that's a knock on your door.
Tom, when you make a statement that says, will Hunter give up his father, you're accusing the father of something. Do you really not see that?
It's a hypothetical. Would you people listen?
Hang on.
Okay.
This is to me.
Okay.
First of all, I didn't say Hunter would give up his father. I said he'd give up the uncles.
In a hypothetical.
In a hypothetical. But I didn't think he'd give up Dad. I think he'd give up the uncles, though.
Yeah, we were just bantering.
Yeah.
You know, we want to make it interesting.
Well, sure. Of course. That's why we're here.
And that's why you have to qualify it as a hypothetical, you know.
That's why we say the whistleblower thing is alleged. You know, we don't know what's in it. We don't care what's in it, you know. Laptop's alleged.
Well, I don't know, Eagleman. You're alleged to telling the truth.
I guess that's true, yeah.
I'm on your side.
Yeah. The laptop emails are online. Read them for yourself, just like the Mueller report, depending on the spin doctors. Republicans have evidence against Joe Biden. Show it. Impeach him. Let's get them out before there's a problem. And if you don't have evidence, because there's nothing there. So I agree. If there's no evidence, let's move on.
Thank you for quoting the Eagleman. He's only been saying that for 5 years.
Yeah, right.
he said the same thing about Trump.
Yeah. If Hunter can get
the evidence, then he should be hung or whatever.
That's right. String him up.
Yeah.
If Hunter could get crack in prison, he won't give up anything. If the U.S. was not in debt, would we have inflation like we do now? Yes, we would. Doesn't have anything to do with debt.
But it does have to do with how they're managing.
Managing debt's a whole nother deal, yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation.
And that's what we're talking about now. Do we want to add another $1.5 trillion to the budget or to our GDP or not?
Okay, we got 10 minutes left, 30 seconds. So this week, the Treasury Department offered a 30-year bond, $21 billion. And 7.3 was taken or bought. That's it, a third. They offered $35 billion in 10-year notes, and 12 billion was taken. That's all, a third. They offered $40 billion in a 3-year note, and 14 was taken. 2 more. They offered $48 billion in 182-day bills, and only 16 were taken. And finally, they offered a 91-day bill, $57 billion. The outstanding on that bill is $91 billion, 91 billion, and only 19 billion was taken. So again, we're back to what we've been talking about now for 2 years. 1/3 of what they offer every week is being taken. That's it.
Yep.
So you got a problem.
Got a problem. Amen. There we go. Yes, old people need to go. Feinstein, Biden, Trump, all too old. Adderall doesn't make up for an old guy too old to hold office. Russian hoax is a term used by people who have not read the Mueller report. The Mueller report, yes. Russia helped Trump. It's in there. Well, if they helped him, why didn't they help him in 20? Where were they?
Well, first of all, he's gone, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And second of all, clearly they helped the Bidens, but no one wants to talk about that.
I guess not. So, is it a hoax that Trump refused to accept the election results? No. Stole from a charity? No. Pardon Bannon, who stole $1 million for a hoax for building the wall on the southern border? No, not a hoax. Happy? Everybody happy now?
There you go.
Okay.
Well, everybody wants to know, though, but, Hunter Biden got $1 million diamond from some guy in China. What do you do with that?
Yeah.
They can't even find out where that went.
I know. From our text line, 478-8298, it is hard to imagine a more stupid and more dangerous way of making decisions than by putting those decisions in the hands of people who pay no price for being wrong. Thomas Sowell.
Yeah, that's well written.
That is a excellent point. Yeah.
And,
there's
a
diamond
in the rough, Eagle Man.
Yeah. Yep. Well, there's no consequences for shutting the government down, trashing the economy, keeping kids out of school, keeping them behind. The next generation is going to be dumber than the previous one. So.
Well, look, when you talk about in the rough, diamonds were found in South Africa because someone picked one up, and gold was found in California in 1849 because some guys found some in a creek. So, there you go. Boom, everything changed overnight, literally.
Here we go. Well, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas facing a fresh round of scrutiny after the third blockbuster report in less than a month links him financially to GOP mega donor Harlan Crow. And they claim the real estate developer paid thousands of dollars in tuition to a private boarding school for Thomas's great nephew, whom Thomas said he raised as a son. I find this really hard to believe, Shane, but I heard reported on the news the other day, and we'll have to look this up and confirm it. But the Supreme Court is the only government agency that has no code of ethics.
Well, because of one thing, they can recuse themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they would, and they all do. Number one. Number two, this is a typical woke African-American, Republican, black man married to a white woman they don't want on the Supreme Court. They never did. And turns out this week that 3 of the appointees of Obama all have done the same thing, but nothing about it.
Yeah.
People have given them gifts, taken them on trips, but no one wants to read about it.
Yeah. Well, federal ethical law required the justices to report gifts given to a dependent child, but that term is defined to only include the justice's children or stepchildren. Thomas's allies have insisted the payment doesn't violate the disclosure law since it was for Thomas's sister's grandson. So, will that go anywhere? Who knows? These guys are appointed for life, and unless they bring some kind of impeachment forward, and I don't think any of them are going to do that because they're going to get burned badly for trying to do that to a Supreme Court justice in an election year.
Well, you'd never have it passed in the House, number one, so it'd never go to the Senate.
Yeah. So. Yep, I don't think that's going to happen. So.
Well, and this guy gets elected in the Senate when he was elected by a lot of the senators still there. By over it was 67, 68 of them. So there's no way that 2/3 are going to vote for his impeachment. Come on, let's be real.
And to have everyone leave the program singing a happy tune. Americans are not happy about the current state of the country and don't expect it to get better in the future. According to a new Pew Research, 66% of Americans think the U.S. economy will be weaker in 2050 compared to 32% who think it will be stronger. And even greater, 71% of Americans think the U.S. will be less important in 2050 than it is today, and 77% predict even greater domestic political division. What do you think, Shane?
I think that sounds very sad.
It is.
You live in a free society, in a republic that has survived almost 250 years. It's sort of, can you keep it, right? I know I'm quoting one of the founders.
Yeah. The gap between the rich and the poor will grow. 81% think it will. 18% think it'll get smaller. So say goodbye, Shane.
I will indeed. Thank you for all your calls and your emails and texts to the Eagle Man. Thank you, Eagle Man. Best friend forever. Great time. I so much enjoy this. And all of you calling in. So be happy, be safe. Live in the moment. That's all you have. A moment every day to live. And live to work. Be happy with what you do. Go find something you love. So when you wake up in the morning, you want to go to work because you love it. And come home with a smile on your face because that's the way your family wants to find you. Take care, good friend.
All right. Thanks, Shane, so much for being here. Hey, it's May is a Military Appreciation Month, so appreciate a veteran if you got one in your family somewhere. And that's going to wrap it up for us. Kentucky Derby coming up about 5 o'clock this afternoon, and we will be back next week. In spite of your cards, letters, and phone calls, I am out of here.